Vocabio. Master English your way.
Because she was babysitting me. Because she was blue-eyed, blonde hair. And
it's like you're babysitting.
Exactly.
Oh my God, $20 an hour, you New York.
That I should have been responsible for babysitting Matt to ensure that he was that I should have been responsible for babysitting Matt to ensure that he was
work. You're just sitting there watching and babysitting the melter. Or if it gets cold outside.
The proposal was to build a mega sewage treatment plant, and they were looking at a couple of different.
With what fresh drinking water and sewage does for this city is probably.
Cannot use irradiation, sewage sludge. They cannot use anything
into the community. That there was no sewage, there were no septic.
So if we do something like, for instance, wastewater or sewage testing, that gives us a better sense, more proactive.
The recrudescence of forces like the Chetniks, the Serbian Orthodox, fascist.
Welsh or Korean or Serbian, where there is this one-to-one mapping between symbols and sounds.
Traces of BISON as opposed to Serbian history and culture. The neo-Moorish
forces like the Chetniks, the Serbian Orthodox, fascists who took the exact
conflicts in the Middle East, Iraq, Serbia, and Kosovo. And he was also the founding editor.
That would cause your dentist to cry. But giving into...
Do you have a lot of old fillings? And for about a decade, my dentist has said, you should get these fillings replaced. I'm like, yeah.
Give good reasons to be brushing your teeth and, avoiding painful visits to the dentist and so on. But actually, we've discovered there's this connection between
the local dentistry, the pediatric dentist, and things like that, because that was very important.
A college professor, your local dentist, believe it or not. These are people that I feel.
It's very much linked to the life cycle of the bison, for example. So when the Pleiades set, it's time to hunt. So we're seeing that.
Oxen, elephants, bison, sea otters, and...
He knew that the dream of the Biden administration was to park Russia in order to be able to...
Carlson, what was your first impression when you met Vladimir Putin for the interview?
Take a different view. You give the impression, rightly or wrongly, you give the impression that...
To have a tool like that to get an early impression of a show as you're deciding what to do next. It is natural for us to...
Power gave the impression that these tools, based on maths, were more powerful than...
Share these concerns. I have the impression that people get this...
Sports. The left fielder of the Oakland A's was being paid like $5 million a year, all of a sudden.
Within such a large conglomerate. So it allowed me to basically understand within such a large conglomerate. So it allowed me to basically understand.
Baseball hitters usually average fielders, and the best fielders usually average hitters. Well, it's
goes on to a completely different kind of GRU plot happening somewhere else in the world. It might not even be like another.
And it's all some sort of city plot. And I think that aspect of
Democrat in Congress had an assassination plot foiled against him, and so it begs the question: who is responsible?
Is it more sinister than that? Is it some kind of plot designed? Either people have been using the word coup, people have been
whites in a kind of concerted plot by the global elites, and I also joined
experiences and their participation in peace processes and conflict resolution.
Is about the meaningful participation, informed consent, self-determination.
To encourage increased athletic participation among indigenous communities.
We have nothing to show for our participation in this movement being the civil rights movement.
Yeah, global challenges require global participation together. Are there any other questions?
Saturday or Sunday, as the timeline becomes available.
Back at our timeline. Right? So how much time it took for language understanding?
Gary Jordan just across the hall.
For the timeline and the timeline tool. Roll pitch,
arrange all of our timeline and make sure we know what we're going to do every moment of that. So
Yeah, I think the timeline is a little bit...
Other victims in Russia saying, you found the Achilles heel of the Putin regime. Can you sanction the people who killed my...
Training mock-up. We are on the heels of NASA's Boeing crew flight test mission to the International Space Station.
They'll say they want to be a woman. It means, have long hair and heels and dresses. It never means take a pay cut and don't get to say anything.
Should have worn heels. But yeah, you mentioned earlier that...
The solid line are rear foot strikers, people that hit their heel first when they run. The dotted line are midfoot strikers.
On sites. And so I got to know what long-term legacy pollution actually means.
Which I suspect will have poor Joe Biden by the throat. I think if...
To the beginning again. The person can't feel their throat. They don't notice if they breathe out through their voice.
You want somebody reaching down their throat and turning themselves inside out. You could...
Kneeling on the throat of a black man.
Tied back to the positioning or the value system that that is very subjective and kind of...
Project 4. It started here. So if you want to do some biz dev stuff, you guys should just do some convenings. You'll get a lot of work that way.
Anyone stop you in your tracks because we are all there with you. I believe in you. I don't differentiate.
So we'd go over there and...
It's that frontal lobe isn't developed.
Yeah, I don't even know what...
Or serve as an advocate for each other and not let things that...
of coronavirus and may well have hurt Republican vote totals overall by making people nervous.
It's not because you think you're going to hurt the ground, it's because you want a release of rage. I will just...
The worst seems to stem from the personal hurt that he...
That's nonsense too, in my view.
Does it hurt their business model if they have to have the same?
Because it's the poor who get hurt most. And the data I was giving you is really about...
One up there with the chap stringing his bow. It's a very...
Silicon Valley, he's a bit of a sort of diplomatic chap, lawyer by trade, did a press conference with us.
Grabs his pretzels. I notice that his lips are getting chapped, so I hand him the chapstick, the stuff that doesn't sting him.
And my younger son said, Mom, you had a chapter due that day, and it wasn't going that well.
Valley, he's a bit of a sort of diplomatic chap, lawyer by trade, did a press conference with us.
Here she is, Madame Lagarde, when she visited us at the Austrian Central Bank.
Our chair, and so, Madam Chair, I am open for questions.
Bentley, and the car belonged to Madame David Weil from the Lazard Frère family, right?
Alain Chappelle. Ah oui, c'est vrai, ça c'est grand. Oui, je préparais le...
Man. Well, I suppose technically speaking, you could say that Madame Sung Ching-ling was the president of the People's Republic back in the Mao.
Years for New Year's Eve, I've made a champagne jelly. So people have very strong opinions about jelly desserts. I
walk the same way. They pick up the champagne, and then they started talking.
Like Peter Liam, who is an expert on champagne, sort of put together his sort of focus on
difference to billions of lives globally. During COVID, she has been championing the cause of healthcare industry.
And I once interviewed Dennis and said, "You're a bit of a champagne socialist, aren't you?" And he said, "No, not really." But
there was a urinal, of course, on their floor, and
metal bedpans, metal urinals, open sputum mugs on the
urinals. And so they had self-flushing urinals.
Choose between stall or urinal. And do you wash your hands every time?
Bathrooms, which have a lot of the time urinals that sort of stick out from the wall. There's no
very tiny drones that just have a little bit of dynamite in each one, and that has facial recognition.
Be part of what was in the letter, which was dynamite. I mean, it was a big story, there's no question about that. Very, very serious.
I mean it, like C4, TNT, dynamite. You name it, they blow it.
Very condition. But of course, it's also politically dynamite, and we'll see how this goes.
In fact, some of it was even dynamited. Almost nothing remains of it.
Economist, broadcaster and writer. She is a fellow in economics at St Edmund Hall, University of Oxford.
Yeah, that makes me wonder what on earth the economics of this thing are. I mean, I would like to be assured that...
Mystic about meaning. I worry about economics and the concentration of power.
Initiative at the London School of Economics. She's also a senior fellow at the Ash Centre of...
Single transaction generally on the unit economics is a revenue loss for Uber.
Who will be kind of rounding out the year and telling us what the big trends are to look out for in 2025. So
the unintended consequences of digital trends. He started the Bitcoin electricity consumption index.
More kind of minor aberrations from that kind of broader trend.
I would put it.
I did think, is that not just a trend that has been happening since the Walkman came out?
And also, I don't want this to be a sort of trend, or they're like, you know, you're so lucky you got this on the up. And I say, no, not at all.
Here in LA, you know, they have surfboards there for people to go.
She goes something, you know, on the beach with a surfboard. Movement makes you better in everything that you do.
Here in LA, you know, they have surfboards there for people to go. She goes
looping surf swing. So you stand on a surfboard, your feet are strapped in, your wrists are strapped in.
I was looking at surfboards and I'm like, an ice cream sandwich shaped like a surfboard.
Into a powerful motivator and navigating through it with resilience.
So these were the motivators that came.
Yes, well, I can certainly imagine how being in the...
Now, nobody says that wealth is the only motivator for entrepreneurs, and I can't get in their heads.
Up for success. And again, I think that can be a really good motivator. If you can bring, and I'm really excited about AI movements in this, where you can...
And has been an amazing inspiration to me and motivator, because that's what we need. Our muses have to motivate. They have...
However, we don't have what is called error correction yet. So we can only apply a rather...
schedule with no room for errors.
We'll stop. Involve repeating the errors that America has been making, not just during the Cold War.
One of the great errors of that time. But I'm afraid I found that infiltrated.
Of course, a theory of errors of measurement. So when you measure, you take a physical.
Again, what you see is you see an eagerness to talk about what was taking place. Again,
in our eagerness to move forward and to get back to normal, though,
my own personal, eagerness and fire to what's next and to beat myself.
Learning Center. Her teacher was impressed by her positive energy and eagerness to participate. It was obvious that she wanted.
I do think that there, is a real eagerness among most students to get that vaccine, to get.
But he's already part of the old guard. Also around the table are John Young.
And completely caught off guard by something in your life, or in this case.
Lost anything. I think that the thing you need to guard against is everyone kind of getting their business.
Close by saying that I want you to be on your guard against two false issues in this respect, and I'll be very brief. These are people who, were guarding the statue with guns and, basically.
The album title was no longer the Rye Cute bumper sticker, but it had a much different.
Yeah. So I'm using rye bread, of course. Any good deli sandwich worth its weight.
Resistance pastrami sandwich on rye.
You can eat more sophisticated food, no doubt.
Fleshed out. We had, a Pakistani guy join the team.
Kind of Indian you are. You may have to become a Pakistani if you're Muslim. You may have to lose your life on the proposition.
Bangladeshis were killed by the Pakistani army. No one except George Harrison.
Indian you are. You may have to become a Pakistani if you're Muslim. You may have to lose your life on the proposition. You may not.
So an American patriot. You can be an Indian and a Pakistani. You can be both so many things.
Favorite show, maybe Schitt's Creek or Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso is amazing.
I know, I'm complete. Favorite show, maybe Schitt's Creek or Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso is amazing.
I know, I'm complete. So, Schitt's Creek or Ted Lasso?
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Harewood House represent members of the Lascelles family, following the tradition of stately homes across the country.
Were.
So there's all sorts of possible applications for this. I mean, I've always felt like, you know, those...
The systems, the system software to the algorithms to the applications. That's one layer. The second thing that you...
And forethought, whereas... And what's also happened...
So there's all sorts of possible applications for this. I mean, I've always felt like, you know, those...
There is the gift aid application to cash, a gift of cash.
Whether it's a bear or an elk, depending on which animals were important. So it
remove the non-native trees so our elks and sycamores can thrive. And guess what? Given their size,
deer and camel and elk crossing roads and coming into
from the tundra moss that's going to the elk and then is going into their bodies. What does
deer and camel and elk crossing roads and coming into,
which ultimately led to the airbags within sneakers, right? So that's just an
oopsie, and then we invented the seatbelt, the airbag, the traffic light, and things were more or less
like giant airbags that prevent the water from flowing in, switches from damaged
separation and deploying the airbags. The third time now we've landed a capsule.
You actually finally land. And we do land on airbags, so it should be a soft landing as from what we've seen, but...
Bay to this list, the city that was very nearly ruined by the sectarian partition of India.
Fitting in, and that all felt ruined because of this singular question.
To this list, the city that was very nearly ruined by the sectarian partition of India. In 94.
Ruin that then.
It's fun and whatever, but for some people, it has ruined lives, and your book contains lots of, you know, pretty harrowing stories.
Conversation that doesn't become an argument. What is the most common communication mistake?
British politics. And I'm looking at, basically, my argument is that British politics has fundamentally changed in recent years because we're...
To win you around to their side of the argument. Now, Enrique and Christian actually have had
into the perception of Israel today.
So one argument you hear, a criticism you hear of Israel.
And we could argue, and I think that's a very good argument, now which one should we try to maximize? But
other parts of the world saying, well, you know, welcome to our lives. Like, that's what it looks like. So, yeah.
We could say she's empirical in that she lives through the Russian Revolution and takes a very big lesson from that. But her
the velvet ropes of our lives of one kind or another. And that also
a renegotiation of how work sits in our lives. So I'd agree, freedom, that ability to consider.
Their officers are bravely out there risking their lives, and so they can have secret court here.
Rap was something my mom liked. It was like Curtis Blow, Grandmaster Flash, Furious Fives. It was disco guys, Jerry Curls, lots of girls.
A young writer, to have my first book kind of blow up, and to have myself kind of turned into...
I never really did that, and so it still kind of blows my mind. Do you know what I mean?
And I went to the kitchen to blow my nose and dry my eyes and think about it.
I was real excited, so I blew till about 32.
Which means a room where you sleep has no gadgets. No gadgets at all. Keep them all into another room.
Clothes every quarter, gadgets every month, or entertainment every...
28 digitally driven gizmos and gadgets. It was everything from...
The store has all the interesting tech gadgets. And having time to kill and liking interesting tech gadgets, I step inside.
There has to be a gadget for everything in the house, right?
Yeah, much. No.
And when the capsule is re-entering, any risk to
them without anybody in the capsule at all. And at one point,
the third time now we've landed a capsule in the U.S. on land. The entry in particular has been...
Comets are really important. They're like a time capsule back to our past. They were formed.
How much helium is left on the capsule, and how much do you absolutely need to return? And then
airport in the U.S. It has fuel cells that don't combust, a fossil fuel much lower,
such as hydrogen fuel cells or improving public transports. Are electric vehicles really...
So you have neurons, brain cells from your auditory system
that are reaching over all the way. Called induced pluripotent stem cells. So an adult cell can become a stem cell. And then there's
a lot behind these big walls and cell doors and bars. And actually, the focus shouldn't be on the shop.
Recipe that is made out of oyster mushrooms, right? Is similar.
At risk right now. So piping plover, American oyster catcher, black skimmer, and a lot of our
people are coming here to pick oysters at low tide or to.
It's amazing because like on top of oysters is amazing, and just even in salad.
Finish that chapter, and I feel like now the world's our oyster. I feel like we can do any kind of record we want, and I'm really excited.
I began as a traditional filmmaker, and I realized that everything that you saw on screen before.
Yesterday, Michal Ziegard, he's a writer, journalist, filmmaker. He worked for Newsweek Russia.
Hi, I'm an independent filmmaker, and for the past 20 years, I've been making documentaries about design.
Finally, we're joined by Paul Mason, journalist, writer, and filmmaker. He's the former economics editor.
You would think it was because of continuity as a filmmaker, but it was really because...
Cover of Dimension magazine for Aztec, the coyote throwing up the stars at the...
These birds and bears in our backyards to coyotes on our city streets. We begin with our oceans.
Center on Coyote Hill Road in Palo Alto, a bunch of Engelbarts.
An injury from other cats, coyotes, and the biggest killer, cars.
Donkeys are livestock guarding animals, so they keep, coyotes, and there's mountain lions in Texas, if any of you.
Dragging him out of bed with our friends and dunking him in the pool. It's really fun time.
The threats to that, is this 100% slam dunk, do you think? He's getting that, there's no question. Or
American corporations, which is a dunking and a reset and perhaps an ending of this.
So that was a slam dunk, self-selecting in many ways because of the strength of.
He's remembering the shots he missed. You remember him dunking with his tongue out. No, I'm serious. He took the most shots.
The history of meritocracy, there are two traditions really, two very powerful traditions. One is the tradition
very little of the rest of Britain, which is the tradition of very small family farms and what that means for.
For a start, a very, very strong tradition actually of hacking that goes back.
Country club Republican tradition, and as one local Republican
success stories that they built the great tradition of the American intelligence operation on. What were the moments?
You can continue and continue. That's why the combination of that, the federal approach, the one.
And it's really this combination that brings about total war, I think. And they almost
that you sweat. It lies in the combination of the two. It lies in the combination.
And this probably some combination, to be honest. So
to go away because that's a pretty powerful combination.
Well, let me put that to John, because I think this is something that you both have seen.
Down in plain sight. I was blown away when I saw it. I was like,
a few things. First, I was absolutely terrified of boys. I'd gone to an all-girls school, and I had no idea what the kids
tables and all that. There's a danger you lose sight of the importance, actually, of the well-being, the mental health.
Just a beautiful sight as Starliner makes its way to the sands.
I still remember seeing the sight, stacks upon stacks of cages.
Maybe this fall, we'll see when it comes out. But just remember, put your cheese goggles on, and yeah.
Like, you've been doing this for about just 10 years, but was there a time during this journey when you realized...
Recently about how to view the world probabilistically. Yeah.
Block, and then V large, prob, as in probably, land reptile.
Yeah, but it was, you probably, 40s or something. She has also directed and produced the Wavy Gravy movie, Saint Misbehavin', which the
same gravy. And when John Harvey came back in 1870,
she has also directed and produced the Wavy Gravy movie, Saint Misbehavin', which it's
the type of flour that you would get if you're making gravy, and at the end, instead of putting AP flour in, which
here on this picture before I go to Marcy and Perry. John, correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is the construction of Bauer Center.
A lot of the soft tissue mobilization guns, the massage guns, which I think are really helpful. There's a whole number of these you can
always, and you know, like getting massages and going to like therapy for their bodies to be able to do those
things to make myself feel good. I get massages. I learned about essential oils. I'm on no prescription drugs.
And I talk about a practice called self-massage, which is ʻbeɪbiɪn. It's like using medication.
Do a tour because we have like sleeping pods and massage chairs also, but don't worry about it.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that.
Every 3 nights at 7 o'clock. That was our sched time. Our call sign was AWE, Alpha Whiskey Echo, Alpha Whiskey Echo.
Communities that are steering into the skid, that are leaning forward and tackling this issue. Places like Austin, Texas.
Then I don't think anyone needs to be so scared. When it hit us last year,
it was like, you know, this idea of, you know, steering into the skid. You know what I mean? Like, it almost in some ways embracing the failure.
The jagged spires and snow-covered mountains. Sue's feet skid as he lets out a pain grunt.
Vocabio, available in Google Play. Download, discover, improve your English.